Now, problems number 3, 6, and 12 all had to deal with systems of equations. So before we even read up this problem, let's remember what a system of equations is, guys. A system of equation is when you have two or more equations. So if you notice, right here is one equation, right here is two equations. So this is a system of equations. Now, when we deal with systems of equations, guys, there's usually only one thing they're asking us for, and it's to find the solution to that system of equations. To find the solution, we gotta look for the place where they are the same. Now, guys, by looking at these equations, you probably can't tell where they are the same. And the only way you could probably tell where they're the same is if we make a graph out of these equations. So let me go ahead and graph the equations they gave me. Y plus 2x equals -1, and then I have y equals 1 divided by 2, x plus 4. So now I went ahead and graphed them, but I noticed I only have one line. What's happening? So now if I look at these equations, it looks like there's a little error sign. And the reason it's giving me this error sign, guys, is because this equation right here, the first one, is not solved for y. So guys, you will only be able to graph your equations if they are solved for y. So this first equation, before we even find where they are going to be the same, we gotta need to solve for y. So let me go ahead and solve for y. So I'm gonna write my equation, y plus 2x equals -1. Remember, when we solve for y, guys, we want to get that y by itself on one side of this equal sign. So I split my problem into two sides, and this y that I highlighted is going to stay on the left. It's going to be right here at the end. So now, that means I need to get rid of this plus 2x. Well, how am I going to get rid of this plus 2x? Well, I'm simply going to subtract it. And remember, what you do to one side, make sure you do to both sides. So when I subtract that 2x, the 2x's go away. All that I'm left with is this y down here. And on the right side, well, -1 minus 2x. My first thought is to subtract those numbers. But guys, remember, do not subtract those two numbers because they are not like terms. You cannot combine them. So since you cannot combine them, you need to bring both of those numbers down. And we find out that our equation is this right here. Y equals -1 minus 2x. So let me retype that equation. Y equals -1 minus 2x. Now that I have both equations solved for y, I can see both of my lines on this graph. So now we are ready to find the solution. Let's recall that the solution is when these equations are the same. So when are these equations the same? They're only the same at the point where they cross. And this is our solution to the system. Now, if we look at the problem though, their answer choices don't have two numbers, or their answer choices only have one. And that's because they want the value of x in the solution. They only want one of these numbers. They want the x value. Which is the x value? It's the x value, guys, is the number on the left, or the first number. So it's going to be that -2. So we want answer choice B. Now, problems 6 and 12, guys, are very similar. They're also systems, but you need to graph the equations yourself, and you need to figure out that it's a system. So try out 6 and 12 as you would like a system.